Well, unfortunately for Bo Levi Mitchell, his Labor Day streak officially coming to an end, but he was so good in their game against the Toronto Argonauts. 405 passing yards, 3 TDs. Looks to keep his hot streak going today in Montreal. On the flip side, it is not the starting quarterback for the Montreal Alouettes, Davis Alexander. He is still nursing that hamstring injury. So once again, the team turning to James Morgan, his second CFL start. He was 18 of 33, 198 yards. He did have a TD. He had an INT. Overall, a little rocky in his first start. This team expecting much bigger things in his second game. It is an absolutely perfect day for football in Edmonton, in the province of Alberta. We are live from Commonwealth Stadium. This will be game number 3, by the way. Number 2 coming up. It'll be the Banjo Bowl, but we kick off with the Hamilton Tiger Cats and the Montreal Alouettes. And thanks to another dramatic win by the Ottawa Red Blacks last night, the Eastern Conference has gotten very interesting in the CFL, and we love this post-Labor Day, as we were talking about driving in. When teams are all in the mix, I mean, this is exactly what we need. By the way, this is Enoch Nwamba and Milt Stiegel. But this game now means an absolute ton as we take a look at the standings. So we got Hamilton still at the top at 6-5, Montreal at 5-6, Toronto's at 4-8, but with Ottawa's win last night, they're at 4-8 too. So Enoch, this means the East is completely wide open at this point in time.
It absolutely is, and it's getting interesting and exciting and a little bit spicy as well. You love to see a team like Ottawa right now at this stage in the season get the win that they did. Now you look at the top 2 teams, the Hamilton Tiger Cats and the Montreal Alouettes, who have been struggling. And Montreal right now, it's winning time right now. It's winning football right now, and they have to get it done. Nobody cares if your starting quarterback isn't playing. Nobody cares at all. You got to get it done with the guys on the roster right now.
Yesterday we did our hit, and we talked about what percentage we would give for as far as being a crossover. You said 75. I said 74. I think Kate said 90. I'm changing that now.
Are you?
I'm changing that now. I'm going like 50-50 right now. I'm going 50. I saw what Ottawa did when they beat BC, and what's going on in the East right now. These 2 teams better realize Hamilton, Toronto, and Ottawa are right there behind them. Whoever loses this game, they're putting themselves in the bind. They're putting themselves in the bind where they may drop to 3rd place or even drop where we not make the playoffs. So this is an important game for both of these teams, and it's a must-win for both.
I would also like to redo my pick. I'm going to go 50-50 now.
50-50
I feel like the Ottawa Red Blacks watch that and they're like, no. Don't count us out yet. And you know what? For the Montreal Alouettes, they get 4 starters back in this lineup today. It's absolutely monstrous for this team. They need them. Mustafa Johnson, Austin Mack, Antoine Ducroix, and Tyson Philpott. We got kickoff from Montreal coming up. This is your chance to win big thanks to Save On Foods' $1 million touchdown to win. If a kickoff is returned for a touchdown, you could win groceries for a year. If 2 kickoffs are returned for touchdowns, you could also win $1 million. Good luck, Diane. Let's get you to Montreal. It's Marshall Ferguson, Dwayne Ford.
Thank you, Kane, and welcome to a cold, wet afternoon in Montreal. It almost feels like playoff weather, and these 2 teams have a great chance to meet up in the 3-week playoff sprint. But today, it's all about getting back into the win column, as both of these East rivals, of course, Dwayne, have gone into a bit of a slide here in the last little while. But getting some bodies back, and specifically some pass catchers, a big part of this one.
Yeah, for sure. For the Montreal Alouettes, very happy to have Tyson Philpott back. The growing star has missed the last 6 games. Outstanding receiver, a guy who adds a whole new dimension to their offense. And, of course, coming back at the same time after missing the last 4 games, Austin Mack, best remembered as one of the heroes of their Grey Cup run in 2023. But another guy, certainly, that James Morgan will be happy to have catching balls. And just in time, of course, is the Hamilton Tiger Cats receiving corps, despite some losses, remains red hot. Kenny Lawler, a big game, and Keandre Smith. These 2 guys together combined for 16 catches, 294 yards on Labor Day.
Scott Milanovich, the head coach of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, was last seen making his way briskly down the tunnel at Hamilton Stadium after a Labor Day Classic crushing loss, trying to make sure that they rebound from that. And there you see Jason Moss coming off of the bye. 4 straight losses, wants dearly to get back into the win column, and he will be leaning on James Morgan today to take care of that as he's the starting quarterback. But Hamilton, the visitors here in their all-white uniforms. Montreal, the blue tops and white pants for the first time in Alouettes history with this uniform set. Different combination. Ball's on the tee. Jose Marcos Diaz sends it away on Super Saturday. Things going in Laval Provence is across the 20 and the 30. It will be the Tiger Cats coming across the line of scrimmage as we get set with Bo Levi Mitchell on a 22-yard return and setting up number 19.
Yeah, and Bo Levi Mitchell, despite the losing streak, continues to produce offensively. You see the numbers. What stands out to me most is that terrific 24 touchdown versus 6 interception ratio.
A big part of that down inside the score zone, the 20-yard line. He's got 14 touchdowns to 1 interception. So when they get in tight, Bo is at his very best. Bit of a quick delay here. Lorenzo Burns on the sideline. Looks like might have had an equipment issue. Noel Thorpe will send in a different personnel package quickly off the sideline here. So the Owls get themselves set. Looks like it actually was a shoe that might have been lost and couldn't get back on in time. So they'll send in Arthur Hamlin off the bench. Thought he was going to watch the first snap against Bo Levi Mitchell, but here he is lining up across from him. As Mitchell goes vertical right away, Kenny Lawler down the sideline and immediate fireworks from the Tiger Cats offense.
And this is fascinating to see the turn of events that happened there. Arthur Hamlin came in for Lorenzo Burns, but Hamlin came in at halfback, bumps Wesley Sutton, who has always been a halfback in this league, out to play corner. Matched up on Kenny Lawler. Bo was not going anywhere else from the moment he took this snap.
48-yard gain right off the hop for the Hamilton Tiger Cats offense. That's one way to knock off the rust, the dust, and the disappointment of the Labor Day Classic. Mitchell stands in over the top, throws it up for grabs, and it is knocked away by Lawler. Cabianento had the best shot at that one, as 2 targets for Lawler here right off the start.
And as you said, Kenny Lawler working out of the slot here, the number 2 receiver to the field. The corner, Cabianento, is going to take the deep route here. And has position. And in this instance, a great defensive play from number 89 for the Tiger Cats.
Kenny Lawler averaging 17.6 yards per catch so far this season. 10 touchdowns on the year. He motions to the bottom of your screen on second down. Mitchell steps forward, goes underneath Greg Bell, makes his way towards the first down marker. As Keandre Smith gets a good look at it and believes they're close, and if not, they should go at this part of the field.
Yeah, it's been marked as 3rd down, just short for the Ticats, but nice effort there by Greg Bell to split a couple of defenders and create this opportunity for the short yardage unit led by Jake Dolegala.
Dolegala, the 3rd-string quarterback. Taylor Powell, the backup to Bo Levi Mitchell. Dolegala punches his way forward with that big opening play strike from Bo Levi Mitchell to Kenny Lawler. In Lawler's first season with the black and gold, he has now gone over 1,000 yards as we see the rest of the Tiger Cats starting offense around Lawler and Mitchell.
Yeah, little question, Brandon Revenberg, consistently one of the league's best, the leader of this offensive line unit. They've been able to keep that group together all season and can't say enough about the year being put together by Keandre Smith, on pace for over 1,000 yards. He's been a monster here in his 4th Canadian Football League season.
And in week 14, Keandre Smith 2nd in Canadian receiving yards, just behind Nick Dembski, trying to track him down. As now Greg Bell jump cuts through the middle of the defense, and the Alouettes finally be able to get their hands on it, and the ball pops out. All of that work by the Tiger Cats that ball lost the rock as it slipped out in wet conditions.
Terrific drive, terrific run here for Greg Bell, but it all ends badly. You watch the patience initially here. That's his blockers drive the defensive line out of the way, but ball popped loose on the hit. We'll get a better look at it from this angle to see where it comes out. I think that's out of his hands just
the ruling on the field is confirmed. First down, Montreal.
Good job by the CFL Replay Center confirming that one quickly so Montreal can hop on. But yeah, Wesley Sutton came in with the punch.
Big play by Wesley Sutton on the strip.
So Bell kicking himself on this one. Little pat on the back from Scott Milanovich. And now we get a chance to see James Morgan step in his second career start in replacement of Davis Alexander, Caleb Evans, McLeod Bethel-Thompson. It has been a turnstile, unfortunately, for the Alouettes due to injury. Lots of help around him returning here today. Sean Thomas Erlington leans forward at the end of the run, as he always does for this Alouettes offense.
Yeah, and one place where they're still dealing with an injury issue, Justin Lawrence out of the lineup. Cyril Ogunsandon continues to start at the center position. But among many coming back, we mentioned the receivers, Mack and Philpott, Sean Thomas Erlington, who had been banged up, back in at the running back position.
One of the toughest runners through contact in the entire Canadian Football League, Sean Thomas Erlington. Could be beneficial in these kind of conditions throughout the day as Morgan goes right, comes back over the middle, checks this one down underneath. The 2023 All-CFL receiver, that is Austin Mack, back in the lineup and back on the stat sheet.
Yeah, and you get a great view of this one from the end zone camera. Watch for Austin Mack just to sit down, coming from the right side of your screen. In between those two linebackers, settles it down. Nice quick read from James Morgan to pick up the first down.
See the quick processing that time. Nice release from James Morgan, a tall, strong-armed pocket passer, as defined by the living legend, Anthony Calvillo. Now Travis Tice downhill and gets all the way out near midfield as the running game picks up a first down for the Alouettes.
That combination in the backfield of Sean Thomas Erlington and Travis Tice will be relied on. Tice beside his quarterback, sees Jamar McGloster wash things down to the inside. Bounces out, bounces back in. And as always, physical run for Travis Tice.
Reading off Philip Osai that time, the defensive end. See if they go back to that later, as now Morgan's going to load this one up, and it looks like it came out a little bit out of the side of his hands. The Hamilton defense will face 2nd and 10.
Taking a look at the Hamilton defense, Julian Hauser, the veteran, leading the way for a young defensive line. In the linebacking core, former Alouette Reggie Stubblefield makes his return to Montreal. He was a big part of that 23 Grey Cup championship run. Destin Talbert in his second CFL season, become a fixture at the boundary halfback position for the Ticats.
That's defensive coordinator Brent Monson about Stubblefield. He said Montreal moved him around a lot. I just love him at our nickel spot. That extra defensive back is Morgan. A little bit hit as he threw this time and lands in between a diamond shape of Tiger Cats defenders, and the pressure being put on by Julian Hauser. You highlighted them there, Dwayne. 38 quarterback pressures coming in, 4th in the CFL. Add another.
Yeah, big one there, obviously impacting the throw. Pressure and even getting a little shot on the quarterback. You see Philip Osai fighting his way through. Hauser got a piece of the shoulders. Morgan looks to throw that rock.
Two-man return back here for the Tiger Cats. As Phillip Brooks stands back alongside Tim White, trying to get him some action here, maybe get him going a little bit in the return game, as they will kick it. And the All-CFL receiver, White, after a 52-yard punt, gets wrapped up and thrown down. Jeffrey Kenton Arku. Tremendous effort down the field on special teams for one of the true gems on the Alouettes defense, but they've got to contend with this man, Kenny Lawler, looking for another big game here in week number 14. The Hamilton Tiger Cats have plenty of weapons here on the road in Montreal. You've already seen Kenny Lawler go to work. Keandre Smith with the monster game last week. Tim White just had a punt return. These guys are going to be dangerous all afternoon long.
This is the thing. You put your focus on any one of them, and the other guys are going to hurt you. And we've seen it. It's not just those three guys all on pace for over 1,000 yards, but when given the opportunity, Shamar Bridges, Brendan O'Leary-Orange, Tyler Ternowski, all these guys, given the opportunity, have come up with big plays.
And that's how Bo Levi Mitchell sits second in the CFL, coming into today with over 3,400 passing yards already. As this time crossing route. That, once again, is Kenny Lawler. Not a lot of people know this about Labor Day last week, but he was dealing with a serious flu, had chills on the sideline, did not feel like himself. He certainly looks like the 89 that they know and love in Hamilton here today.
And Kenny Lawler, another big catch. It may not seem as prolific as the big bomb on the first play out of the gate, but given the field position, backed up to their own goal line. It's a big one to give the offense a little bit of breathing room here to work and open up their playbook.
We spoke to Lawler 48 hours ago. Said he was going through physio and therapy and cold tub and getting over the cold and the chills and the body aches and all of it. He wanted to get back to normal. He certainly looks 100% as Greg Bell tries to atone for the fumble given up when Hamilton was deep in Montreal territory on the first drive for the Tiger Cats.
Yeah, everybody will look back at that goal line run and remember the fumble, but Ticats blocked it up well, created an absolute gash through which Greg Bell could run. In a similar situation here, they're moving bodies on that defensive line. Kind of got the run game going.
Had a chance to see James Butler last night for the BC Lions in Ottawa. 34-33 the final in that one on Friday Night Football, and Greg Bell is the reason that James Butler essentially moved on from his opportunity with the black and gold as they now go to Eddie Litre. Litre rolls his way out to the 39-yard line. Solid pickup on first down as the Montreal defense tries to get a stop here coming up.
Yeah, we expect to see a little bit of Mustafa Johnson today, but Sean Oakman has been a terrific find in free agency for the Montreal Alouettes at that defensive tackle position. A lot of different people have had their opportunity to play the nickel linebacker spot, but it seems they always find their way back to the veteran Najee Murray. And talk about people coming back into the lineup. Marc-Antoine Dequoy back from injury to solidify that secondary.
Keandre Smith down with an injury. We'll return right after this and update you on his status.
Keandre Smith, the injured Tiger Cat on the play, motioning across to lead the way as a run blocker on this one. As the defender, Najee Murray, comes up to take him on, I think a hand slid up under the face mask. We got Keandre in the eye, but he seemed to have that worked out.
On the sideline now as they go a bit of a high throw this time, but converting with a curl right at the sticks. Kenny Lawler adds another catch. Keandre usually a black visor guy, as we saw in the Labor Day Classic, but with the wet conditions here, most players having their visors off, and so gets caught with that injury, but Lawler continues to roll along.
Yeah, Lawler again lined up out wide in the boundary. With Lorenzo Burns backed off. Just a quick hitter there. Burns did a nice job coming up to make the play.
Well, they certainly put the fear in Montreal's defense that Bo's not afraid to throw it vertical. Scare him off and go underneath for the conversion. Now they go back to the ground attack. Ian Dobson trying to lead the way alongside Brandon Revenberg as Greg Bell gets tackled after a gain of what looks like about 4 yards on the play.
You see Jeffrey Contain-Arcou, big play for him a few minutes ago on special teams with the tackle on Tim White, getting his reps in on defense as well. As you mentioned, Marsh, one of the great versatile pieces in Noel Thorpe's defensive scheme.
And you take a defensive lineman off the football, and all of a sudden your linebacking crew is Najee Murray, Tyrese Beverett, Darnell Sankey, and Jeffrey Contain-Arcou. That is a unit. As they try to confuse Bo Levi Mitchell, who gets rid of this one, leads it upfield, and it's intercepted. Picked off. It's Lorenzo Burns down the left sideline, gets a block, cuts back into traffic, and all the way down to the 25-yard line. The Alouettes sitting pretty after the early game INT.
Lorenzo Burns already with a fumble recovery in this one. Adds an interception to his takeaway tally on the day.
196 pass attempts last week. Only one was intercepted. It was thrown by Bo Levi Mitchell.
Kenny Lawler's lined up on the right side here, out wide. He's the intended target, but you're going to see this ball does not come off quite the way Bo wants. Fluttering, sails away. Lorenzo Burns happy to pull that one in.
See the turnover ratio there is Hamilton Tiger Cats tied up at the lead. +7 coming in, but 2 turnovers already in this first quarter, and Bo Levi Mitchell watching things over. Meanwhile, James Morgan, an opportunity to get an early lead here, already in field goal range, unquestionably, for Jose Maltos Dios. Even in the tough conditions, and Sean Thomas Erlington trucks his way through the front of the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Yeah, and you got to think that the Montreal Alouettes are going to lean a little bit more than usual, even on that run game with Sean Thomas Erlington and Travis Tice. They're in support of the newcomer at quarterback, James Morgan, the captain.
Standing tall in that pocket, Anthony Calvillo said he loves his ability to learn from mistakes. He's made a couple of them in the first start that he got. His opportunity here after being a former 4th-round NFL draft pick. And this time they take it out of his hands, and they'll come up short with the rushing attack. It looks like Montreal will send out a short yardage package.
And Shea Patterson in his second go-round as a Montreal Alouette. Going to lead the short yardage unit.
The Alouettes have been perfect so far in short yards this season, and Caleb Evans, a big part of that success that he's had, but now out with injury. As to the left-hand side, Patterson. Oh, there was only 1, maybe 2 men left to beat to turn the corner and have Patterson reach the end zone, something the Alouettes would love to do. Only 3 touchdowns in their last 49 offensive possessions.
And a nice burst there. You know, with both Shea Patterson and Cameron Dukes coming in, joining the Montreal Alouettes with all the injuries they've had at quarterback, particularly with Caleb Evans out. You've got a couple of guys who have some experience handling the short yardage duties.
Second interception of the season for Lorenzo Burns sets up Montreal here deep in Hamilton territory. Sean Thomas Erlington right through the middle once again. Minimal gain on the plays. We roll inside 3 minutes remaining here in this first quarter. Scoreless so far.
Alouettes churning away here. As mentioned already, a couple of turnovers for them in this ball game, limiting what Hamilton has been able to do. Lots of bodies coming back into the lineup after the bye. Still waiting on that guy, starting quarterback Davis Alexander, and his undefeated record as a CFL starter.
He was ripping it in the pregame. He looks close to being ready to go, but Morgan's in right now, and this one popped up in the air. Incomplete. Trying to get it to Tyson Philpott in his return to the lineup, but it falls to the turf as Jonathan Moxey talks a little smack.
There you'll see Moxey doing a nice job getting a hand in there, making life difficult for Philpott.
The 2023 Grey Cup MVC, Most Valuable Canadian, unable to bring it down from Morgan. So Maltos Diaz steps out. Bit of a high snap here in the slip conditions in Montreal, but punched through the uprights. And the Alouettes draw first blood. There's Bo Levi Mitchell in the huddle. 8-6 career mark against the Montreal Alouettes, and a couple of memories you might like to forget sometime soon. For more, here's Kenzie Lalonde.
Yeah, Marshall, look, it's been a challenging last few years for Bo Levi Mitchell when he was here in Montreal. When I asked him this week, like, hey, what are some of your fondest memories at Percival Molson Stadium. He said, honestly, all I can think about is the last 2 times I was there, I was benched. You go back to last season, and he was benched after the first quarter. Year before that, week 21, he was benched after halftime. And so what this kind of tells me, Marshall, yes, of course, the team is different this year, but he's looking to flip the script. He wants to walk away tonight with a good memory in Montreal.
Yeah, he certainly is trying to change what it's felt like in the past. He said when he was with the Calgary Stampeders, they'd come in, they'd be 10-2 or 11-3, and all of a sudden Montreal was just this roadblock for those Stampeders teams.
Yeah, I remember them one year coming into Montreal from Calgary, looking to tie the CFL record for wins in a season, and they were upset by an Alouettes team.
As Mitchell flips his hips, has pressure on, he gets it out of his hands as Marc-Antoine Dequoy. Tremendous job coming down from free safety, makes the tackle as Tyler Ternowski on the receiving end, just his 8th catch of the season, but great to see Marc-Antoine Dequoy back in the lineup.
Yeah, it certainly is. This is a guy who's a difference maker for Montreal on the back end. As much as Noel Thorpe likes to move people around, I think that with Dequoy in the lineup, it gives them a little bit more flexibility in terms of what they can do with their free safety, where they can line him up, etc. He's one of the best in the league.
He is dynamic as Greg Bell makes the catch out of the backfield, crosses the 55 for a Tiger Cats first down. Bo Levi Mitchell 2 for 2 to start the drive.
And Ticats, obviously, as you'll see Greg Bell slip out of the backfield here. Free release to the flat. Got Tim White basically providing some protection with the short route, and pushing coverage off a little bit. High percentage play and keep those sticks moving.
Levi Mitchell hands it off. Greg Bell. And a gain of 11. Once again on the ground. The rain's starting to come down harder than we've seen at this point in the first quarter. But the offensive line of the Tiger Cats carving out some space for Bell.
Yeah, doing a terrific job here. You'll see Brendan O'Leary orange motion across the formation to protect the backside, but big gash up the middle. Quentin Barrow at the right tackle spot, doing a nice job there, staying with his block long enough to allow Greg Bell to get second level.
Similar to what we saw on the fumble by Bell, that offensive line creating lots of movement. This time, the Alouettes front stands up. And Sean Oakman turns Bell backwards on the first down run. So the second quarter will begin with a 2nd and 11. A tackle for loss for the Alouettes in their defensive front. Hamilton a 3-game losing streak. The Alouettes a 4-game losing streak. And their final meeting of the regular season. Big implications in the East Division playoff race as we head to quarter number 2. The numbers after 1 quarter of play. It looks like last night we were in the nation's capital. 3-0 in that one as well after the first quarter. But that game certainly picked up and was back and forth all the way deep into the fourth quarter. A 1-point victory for the Ottawa Redblacks. It tightens up the East Division, and you can feel a little bit of the stress. As I said before we went to break there, it's the final matchup of the season between these two teams. This means a lot to both of them head-to-head.
Yeah, it really does. And, one of the similarities I see potentially when you look at the way that the first game played out between these two teams in Hamilton, Ticats got some points off turnovers in that ball game. Turnovers, to me, already playing a role in this one. The Tiger Cats approaching 150 yards in offense, but nothing to show for it as they turn over the ball twice in the opening 15 minutes of this ball game.
Flip ends of the field. Unlike last night, no wind to speak of right now. Plenty of rain coming down. Consistent drizzle. Don't expect it to go away at any point in this ball game. So the teams will have to adapt as Levi Mitchell does complete to Shamar Bridges, and he turns to the sideline and asks, can we please stay out here? But they'll send out the punting unit.
You see Shamar Bridges, East Division Rookie of the Year in 2024. Coming down the line with a quick slant. Big target. He's got that huge catch radius at 6'4".
It's the field goal team, actually, that they send out special teams. James Lesher Jr. back in the lineup for the Alouettes and ready to return should Mark Leggio not be able to connect. from 43 yards away. Constantino is the holder and knotted up at threes in the East Division. Is James Morgan. Interesting background and certainly a lifelong football mind based on where he grew up.
Yeah, from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Parents, shareholders in the pack.
Isn't everybody though? Isn't that a rule? If you're born there, you got to have a little slice of the pie.
A little piece of the pie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but obviously great football culture in that community and even more so in his household.
It is funny. I mean, it even makes me feel old thinking about him going, yeah, well, Rodgers was my guy. I mean, Favre originally, but he said, you know, Favre was, you know, kind of done by the time I was really getting into things. Plenty of quarterback history to lean on growing up in that town. Charleston Rambo makes the grab. Wrapped up and thrown back, but Anthony Calvillo spoke glowingly about him this week. The thing I thought was most interesting, Dwayne, was just the idea of we can only get you so many reps in practice. Even if we try to simulate everything that looks like a game, you're only going to get one look, one day, per practice, per session. He said, so we do a ton of mental work to say, okay, if we get that look and we don't get this, then what are you going to do? Because in the game, you could get anything. And Morgan doing everything he could coming off the bye week to get himself developed and ready for this opportunity. Now he uses the legs a little bit and puts his shoulder down and tries to find the first down marker, but the ball pops out and it's Hamilton possession. Oh, Morgan trying to send a message to the Hamilton defense, but it backfires rapidly. Jonathan Moxey knocked it loose. Tiger Cats ball when we return. There's James Morgan, headset on, looking things over on the Alouettes sideline. As couldn't hang on to the football here. Wanted to use his legs to create something special. Davis Alexander early in the season, you remember him putting the shoulder down, sending a message on the sideline, maybe coming from that school of thought, but Jason Moss frustrated no doubt by the turnover.
Yeah, and it's a situation where you think, yeah, ideally you want your quarterback get the first down, get down on the ground, avoid taking hits. But I understand completely where James Morgan is a young guy trying to send a message about himself.
Levi Mitchell gets this to Tim White. Jump cuts away from Mustafa Johnson. I'd do that too if I was Tim White trying to get away from the big man in his return to the lineup.
Yeah, Mustafa Johnson, 6 sacks in 15 games for the Owls last season. 30-plus tackles before being sidelined at the end of last season, missing the start of this year as he continued his recovery. But what a big boost. You often look at maybe players coming back from the NFL, the occasional guy amongst NFL cuts who can help your roster in the back half of the season. The Alouettes just get a big boost with the guys they've got coming back from injury.
Absolutely. Second down and 6. Mitchell throws a vertical and just a different trajectory than Tim White had in mind on that one. And so Bo will laugh it off and head back to the sideline.
Yeah, Wesley Sutton in coverage. A quick window there, a little deeper on the sideline. You can see where Bo has been trying to lead him with that one.
Well, it does remind me of early in the year where Bo said, Kenny Lawler, everyone's talking about the immediate chemistry I've had with him. He said, there's a lot of receivers I've played with that are like Kenny Lawler, the big jump ball guys, the deep crossing yards. He said, Tim's just a different kind of receiver. At times, it's been difficult to get on the same page. When we do, it's great. When we don't, sometimes it looks like that. The Hamilton offense will work through that as a 43-yard punt here. James Lesser Jr. does a good job to create a little bit of breathing room for James Morgan. Coming back after the fumble. He'll stand in and sling it here in Montreal.
Welcome back in Montreal. As we know, Green Bay has shaped James Morgan, that gunslinger arm influenced by Brett Favre, wearing number 12 as a nod to Aaron Rodgers. But it's been his father, Brian, a former quarterback himself and high school coach, that shaped his mindset and his work ethic. James leans on his dad for instilling that hard work ethic and, more importantly, the attention to detail. He suggests books for James to read on topics like grit and perseverance. During the bye week, James was able to go home, throw the ball with Dad. What better guy to turn to prepare for this week than the guy who knows him best?
Yeah, thank you, Kenzie. And we asked him to define himself as well. We'll get to that in just a second as the Alouettes begin with an inside handoff here. Reggie Stubblefield, the former Alouette, in on the tackle, but James Morgan said, I'm as you say, gunslinger, like to get back there and rip it. I want a little bit of credibility though as a dual threat guy. Wow, fumbling's not going to help on the last drive, unfortunately, but he said his approach has not changed since he's come to the Canadian Football League. He feels like his skill set fits perfectly and he can have success up here.
Yeah, and I think for the people who have seen James Morgan the most, the reviews have been mostly positive. You expect there to be some growing pains for a young quarterback in the Canadian Football League. It's a different game.
This one tapped down at the line of scrimmage, and the big paw of Miles Fox got up in the way of Morgan, and not many knockdowns when you got a frame that big, but Fox gets the hand up.
Yeah, Miles Fox, his D-line position, former Winnipeg Blue Bomber, one of several. Came over with general manager Ted Gouveia during free agency in the offseason.
Skies open up here as the punt about to be sent away. Joseph Zima lights into it. Wonderful punt. Sends Brooks all the way back inside his own 30-yard line. And the coverage unit right there after a 54-yard punt. And it's Tyrell Richards down the field first in coverage, and the first overall pick in the 2022 CFL draft, flying down the field on specials as he's done so much this year.
Tyrell Richards has consistently been at or near the top of the Canadian Football League in special teams tackles this season. You know, this was the thing about Tyrell Richards coming out of college, is you knew that the floor on this guy, very high ceiling. As a versatile guy on defense, you could line him up a lot of different places, but you knew he was going to be a dominant special teams player right away.
I plugged in all of his metrics into, what if he's a D lineman? Oh, most athletic. Linebacker, most athletic. Defensive back? You guessed it, most athletic. Got that kind of body as this time Hamilton will flip the end around with blockers out front. Tim White cuts back into the open field, crosses the 55, and cuts back once again. Tim White refuses to go down, and the opening play end around cashes in massively for the black and gold.
Yeah, the initial movement at the line of scrimmage had the Alouettes completely sucked in, moving to the right as Tim White takes it back to the defensive left. I thought Jacob Zott in particular, amongst the big boys, extra offensive lineman in the game as a blocker. Watch him as a puller, number 50, bottom of your screen. Front right corner, he and Coulterwood Manzi getting way downfield, leading some blocks.
How about the effort play from Sean Oakman, defensive tackle, fights his way all the way back down the field to finally help out alongside Darnell Sankey to make the tackle on Tim White. But Hamilton's offensive line, one of the storylines so far in this ballgame, whether it be inside runs with Greg Bell or the outside pitch like that to Tim White.
Yeah, they continue not just to gain positive yards in the run game, but again, getting significant movement, finding gaps for Greg Bell to do his thing. And once again, the end around to Tim White, magnificently executed.
Hamilton almost 100 rushing yards, had their season low in the Labor Day Classic this past Monday as Bell will knife his way forward down to the 21-yard line and just on the edge of the score zone, but another first down.
See Jacob Zott again, extra offensive lineman in the game as a fullback, pulling around, looking to lead the way through there. Not entirely sure as a member of the fullback union, still card carrying member, how I feel about offensive linemen taking our reps.
Does that card ever expire? I've always wondered.
It never expires.
It's a lifetime fraternity. Giovanni Robinson and Anti-Litre in the lineup here today, but they go with the extra offensive lineman set, mixing and matching personnel. Looks like our referee, Ben Major, having a conversation with Tyrese Beverette. I wonder if the injury spotter might have noticed something at the end of that physical run that gained Hamilton a first down. And it looks as though the helmet actually might be the issue.
Yeah, broken snap on there. Jason Moss probably not thrilled to lose the East Division's top defensive player from a year ago. Tyrell Richards into the lineup in his place.
Beverette to the sideline, and Bo Levi Mitchell catches the snap. Looking for a fade ball. Kenny Lawler up for grabs! And it was underthrown, had room in the back of the end zone, but tough here in Montreal with that cutoff corner.
Yeah, taking away a little bit of that space that's so valuable when you get to this part of the field, as we've seen the corner route be kind of a bread and butter kind of thing in the red zone over the years. But as you said, it's not quite as advantageous here in Montreal.
Incomplete on first down. Another shot to come. Blitzes on from the Alouettes. Tim White catches quickly and fights his way down to the 15-yard line. Maybe a little bit more. Third down and a couple of yards.
You know, we talk so often about the Canadian Football League in general, and often Montreal specifically kind of the poster boys for that multiplicity in terms of looks and personnel and moving people around. And watching back-to-back plays there where Tyrell Richards in for Beverette goes from dropping as a free safety to lining up and being an edge rusher.
On 3rd and 2, field goal unit comes out. Leggio from 20 yards away. Sends this one through the uprights. And little note, we saw Keandre Smith not in the lineup in the last couple of drives. Upper body injury being reevaluated at halftime, which is 6 minutes and 21 seconds away. And it's 6 points on the board for the Ticats here leading. Well, there is Keandre Smith on the sidelines trying to stay loose, and another look at what happened to send him onto the sidelines.
Yeah, Smith coming around the corner, blocking. Right side of your screen just looked like Najee Murray's hand may have gotten up in his eye.
If you've played football long enough, you felt that one. That is not a great feeling. But 3 games already this season for Keandre of more than 138 receiving yards and a career-high 171 last week in the Labor Day Classic loss against the Toronto Argonauts. They'd like to get him back on the field as quickly as possible as Travis Tice stuttered right in the middle of the hole there, Dwayne. I think he expected contact to come flying in, and then all of a sudden said, green light.
Yeah, just turn on the jets, get it north-south. Travis Tice has been a nice addition to this Alouette offense. Dallaire comes across the formation. He's got the kick out. Nick Callender at left tackle just washes everything down, mashes it down in the middle, creating a huge lane through which Travis Tice could run.
Jesse Gibbon, the former 2nd overall pick for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, was in as well in that last snap for Montreal, as now he dons the red, blue, and white. As they go back to the ground attack as the rain continues to fall, and Tice gets another touch.
We've talked several times this season. When you think back a year ago, Walter Fletcher, kind of one of the centerpieces in the Montreal Alouettes offense. But great competition in training camp. Sean Thomas Erlington healthy. Travis Tice came in partway through camp. Stevie Scott, who had been a midseason addition last year, all doing a great job.
Morgan hands it off once again. Fighting to the 40-yard line. Alouettes front able to push for another Alouettes first down, is leaning heavily right now on, this essentially are the Bash brothers in the Canadian Football League, because Tyson, Thomas Erlington, when it comes to yards after contact, they are right up there with everyone in the top 10.
Yeah, you can see that one as things kind of got sorted out. It ends up with Travis Tice staring at Tiger Cats weak side linebacker Kyler Fisher in the hole. Just decides to drop his shoulder, get what he can, and it's enough to get a fresh set of downs.
Morgan with the heavy play action fake, looks to the outside. Rambo, and that one low and away, and Rambo had to throw on the brakes, couldn't haul it in.
Yeah, nice timing on the call. Good look after a few solid run plays for the Alouettes. Go to that play action. Plenty of time for the young QB. But a tough catch there. The one I'm sure Rambo might like to have another shot at as well.
Well, Tyson Philpott said this week he was taught whole life growing up, if it hits your hands, you got to make the play. Let's see if Rambo can do it here. He has to play defense. Great coverage. Is that Destin Talbert? Yes, it is. Potentially had a touchdown saving tackle earlier on Shea Patterson in short yardage, and now in pass coverage, he's all over Rambo.
Yeah, Rambo with a nice route working to the outside. Talbert, great recovery and break to come underneath on that one, though. You saw him very quickly after the breakout, closing ground.
Frustration, perhaps, thought he might have had an opportunity to pick that one off. Never count out Destin Talbert as Jose Maltos Diaz try to notch things up. At 6 apiece, got all the leg and the accuracy as well. As his tremendous season continues, now 36 of 39 on the year. The NFL season is back, and TSN has your front row seat to every game all season long with a 4-month pass for $69.99. Subscribe at tsn.ca/subscribe/NFL now. Offer ends September 30th. Terms apply. I know there's a couple of fellow Bills fans in the truck that are a little nervous about the Ravens. Yeah.
Lamar week 1, eh?
It's tough. Yeah. I mean, if you're going to be the MVP, you might as well try to beat the guy who was recently the MVP. It's a nice little week 1 matchup. John Oakman makes the tackle here on Greg Bell. Oakman's been active early on in this one. Feels like the rich get richer with the defense of the Montreal Alouettes. So many different pieces to be able to play with. But can they get a stop here to round out the first half in Montreal?
Just let us drive this fire truck. Oh, man.
Dude, I can't believe you just did that.
Just don't tell anyone else.
Where's Davis when we need him? My goodness, is he okay?
Maybe a little foreshadowing there going into Edmonton, Calgary. Later on. Great day of CFL football across the country here. Hope everybody's enjoying this one from Montreal to kick off Super Saturday, the triple header. And the Montreal Alouettes defense, KB and Ento, awaiting the Tiger Cats to break the huddle. And yes, it is confirmed. It's poncho season, Dwayne.
Nice.
Do you own a poncho?
I do not currently own a poncho. My son bought a poncho this summer, however, that is hanging in my house.
Substantial.
Yeah.
You gotta have it. Especially here in Montreal this time of year. It can be like this. Grizzly is another catch. It goes to Tyler Turnowski. And evades. Looks like Lorenzo Burns before wrapped up by Jeffrey Cantona-Arcou, but maybe getting a little bit of a reward here for Turnowski after he had the big punt block that led to the Devin Verisek Labor Day touchdown. Came in with just 7 catches, and now he's got 2 here today.
Yeah, Tyler Turnowski, during his college career at University of Waterloo, one of the most prolific receivers in Canadian university football. During that stretch, Hamilton native gets a chance to come home and play. A guy who is kind of remade himself as a terrific special teams player, but still.
Greg Bell, first down on first down with the rushing game once again. And Scott Milanovich loves to be able to use the running attack. He's been leaning so much throughout this season on Bo Levi Mitchell, just ripping it up and down the field, but a change of pace here from this front.
And Revenberg doing a nice job. Had the down block on Sean Oakman on that one right at the point of attack.
Almost out of picture at the bottom of your screen all by himself, spacing things out as they go back to Bell. Lost his balance a little bit before he was hit, wrapped up and brought down. Deontay Evans there on the coverage. Second down and 8.
Yes, Deontay Evans, a mid-season addition, came in to provide some veteran support during the injury issues for the Montreal Alouettes. Veteran spent last season with BC, has had a previous stint in Montreal as well as some time in Hamilton.
How are you supposed to know who's coming right now from the Alouettes? Everybody just standing up and wandering around. They'll hand it off and hope they can pick their way through with run blocks. And they do. Another Tiger Cats rushing first down. So many times when you see second and long in the confusing Northorpe defense, you have trouble picking up things, but just run it straight at them.
Well, this is the thing. You get into the run game. I think your rules make things a little simpler in the run game than they can be in terms of pass protection and blitz pickup. And you keep having success in the run, and you can get Montreal out of some of those exotic looks a little bit.
Mitchell looks to his left, and Lawler able to hang on to it with the strong hands right in front of Lorenzo Burns.
It looks like Kenny Lawler is having a little chat with Davis Alexander over on the Alouette sideline after that catch. There you see just textbook fundamentals, getting the hands away from the body.
Bell cuts it back away from traffic, loses his edge and slides down before the tackle comes downhill on him. But Jeffrey Canton-Arcou as well flying out on that play. Plenty of different options for Northorpe to be able to play with in these personnel packages. And as Hamilton earns their way down inside the score zone once again, when and where will he dial up the heat or just try to stop the run? That's been the challenge so far here is the Hamilton offense pushing the pile more effectively than we've seen all season long. Mitchell asks for the football, gets it last second, goes underneath. Greg Bell makes the grab and gets pushed back. Wesley Sutton alongside Darnell Sankey.
We talked a little bit about Tyler Ternowski's skill as a receiver, the job he's done doing dirty work as a special teamer. Watch Ternowski here, lines up in the backfield, and his responsibility is to pick up the blitz. Jeffrey Canton-Arcou, Ternowski steps up in the hole, locks him up to give his quarterback time to make that throw.
Greg Bell over 100 yards from scrimmage in this ball game already. They'll empty it out, 4-by-2. Mitchell pumps, then looks to take off. Mitchell's got room to run and slides down, but they'll say touchdown.
Well, he doesn't do it often, but making the most of the opportunity there. Things open up on the run. Bull recognizes it, tucks it, and goes. The troops over there.
I'm somewhat stunned. Bo Levi Mitchell using the legs. Almost perfect timing as the coverage rolled away from him. Looks like the
on the field, a touchdown.
Yeah, they took a look at it here. And he wasn't touched until he was across, regardless of having that knee down.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly the key, is that his knee is down. But before he is down by contact, he breaks the plane with the football.
Just like we expected, the Tiger Cats running the football relentlessly against Montreal's defense, and Bo Levi Mitchell with a rushing touchdown.
Yep. Good decision making there from the veteran quarterback, as had nothing but green turf in front of him.
Almost reminiscent of late career Anthony Calvillo. Very rarely used the legs, but when he did, it always paid off. Finding the right time to make it work, as 9 plays, 70 yards in under 3 minutes.
And you just see here how things open up to the right side of your screen for Bo Mitchell. You know, you can see 10, 15 yards ahead in front of him right there to the goal line, where there was not a single Alouette defender when he made that decision to go.
Just getting word from the CFL Replay Center as Bo gets himself a little bit of props from the offensive line. Classic tough scrambler that he is as they celebrate their touchdown here in a 13-6 advantage with 20 seconds remaining in this first half. But the Replay Center confirming that Bo was diving for the end zone, going for goal, and not giving himself up.
Yeah. First rushing touchdown of the season for Bo.
Mark Leggio sends it into the sky. James Letcher Jr. tries to turn the corner. He does. Destin Talbot giving chase as Letcher cuts back, but deep into Hamilton territory, and maybe one snap to be able to get even closer for Jose Maltos Diaz as Byron Archambault, special teams coordinator, wears so many hats in the Alouettes organization, fired up about that return as the halftime show coming up. Kate Burness, Colt Stiegel, Enoch Mwamba, as well as they'll break this one down for you and look ahead at the next couple of games that we have here on Super Saturday. And I don't want to bring this back to Labor Day Classic again, but you think about Bo scoring a touchdown and great vibes for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. All of a sudden, big return and one snap left to try and move the football. Very reminiscent to the way the last game ended, is falling backwards and making the grab. That's David Dallaire, the fullback, and they will send out Maltos Diaz to try and hammer this one through.
Well, Ticats defense coming up with an important stop after the monstrous special teams play. The return from James Letcher. You know, so many guys coming back on offense and defense for the Montreal Alouettes, recovering from injury that Letcher's return maybe flew under the radar, but he sent a pretty good reminder there.
Maltos Diaz, 9 of 10 on the season, between 40 and 50 yards away. This one from 48. Rushes on, can't get home as Jonathan Moxey tried in the leg. Never in doubt. As Montreal, remember that one, steals back 3 points at the end of the half with the James Letcher Jr. return. A quick pass completion. Byron Archambault likes the return and field goal combination to end the first half.
Special teams units coming through in fine fashion there to get points on the board.
Greg Bell, one of the true stories of this first half for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. The offensive line obviously creating all sorts of chaos up front, but 11 carries, 86 yards. As we said, he's already gone over 100 yards all-purpose mark. And his day began with a fumble, but he has certainly found his way back into the coach's good books here as he stands alongside our Kenzie Lalonde.
Well, Greg, whether it be you or Bo Levi Mitchell, the ground game is working. Why do you think it's been the most effective for you in the first half?
Just execution. The past few weeks we haven't been running the ball good, and we're just executing today.
What do you want to see heading in to close this one out tonight?
Scoring touchdowns. We got to keep scoring and get the W.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Kate, over to you.
Kenzie, unfortunately, the weather doesn't look so great there in Montreal. It's absolutely stunning here in Edmonton. I feel like every time we're on the road, this kind of happens.
Yeah,
The Calgary game when we were in BC in the confines and Commonwealth. All quiet right now, but a lot of Alberta fans coming in for this one. It is a rematch of the Battle of Alberta, the third game on our triple header. But let's start with this one right now. And I think all of us just looked at each other, and when Bo Levi Mitchell was running into the end zone, we said, is that Bo Levi Mitchell? Like, let's give Bo a little bit of credit.
Yes.
I mean, it's been look, they've been on the ground because obviously the weather too, and Bell's been great in the first half. But for Bo to call back Father Time and do something like that, we were all in shock.
It's whatever it takes at this point in the season. He understands the magnitude of this game. He understands the value in getting a win in this stretch right now. They don't want to go another game, another week with a loss. You see him right here. When he's accurate, when he's on point, it's just tough to defend. You see Kenny Lawler, one of the best receivers, if not the best receiver in the CFL this year so far. And when Bo Levi Mitchell is on, it's hard to stop him. Obviously, you see he had one interception on the pass where, he probably could have had Kenny Lawler, but when we're looking at the game again, it's hot here, but he might have been, a little bit wet over there, and you see him running over there as well. When he is on, it's hard to stop Bo Levi Mitchell, whether he's passing, whether he's running the ball the way that we saw him. But this offense right now, the more points they put up, the better chance they give him.
I love that. No one was expecting that. Montreal's defense was definitely not expecting that, so good on Bo Levi Mitchell. Now, on the flip side, for the Montreal Alouettes, I mean, defensively, they're keeping this game tight. But right now, they need a quarterback. And look, Davis Alexander, he needs to be fully healthy before he returns. He can't come back any sooner. We saw what happened the last time.
Right.
But for James Morgan, I mean, to have a half like this, it's 3 of 9, it's 22 yards. That's just not going to cut it right now.
Yeah, it's not. And Enoch, honest question here for you. When you played and defense was playing well, you're balling out, and quarterback is struggling, did you say, you guys got to get it going? Something has to change. Not trying to throw anybody on the bus, but did you ever think that?
You see that in the back of your head, but you also challenge your defense to start scoring points and making things happen.
That's not the answer I wanted, Enoch. That's not the answer I wanted.
You're not getting an honest answer, Enoch.
I'm sure these Montreal Alouettes are saying that right now. This team is struggling, but it hasn't been because of the defense. The defense has played well enough, but offensively they're not getting it done. And James Morgan, once again, is getting his opportunity. And I know those first 2 games where he basically started. He didn't start the first one, but he played the majority of the game. There was going to be some struggles, but in this game right now, we were expecting more. I'm sure the Alouettes were expecting more. He's just not getting it done. 22 yards passing. This defense is playing well. They're playing against a high-powered offense, and these Hamilton Tiger Cats, they're getting it done. But offensively, they're not getting it done. So I wouldn't be surprised if they come out in the second half and they give him a drive or two to get it going. If he doesn't, they make a change. They have some veterans.
They have to do something.
They have Dukes, they have Patterson, they have guys who played in the CFL. So he needs to get it going if he wants to continue playing.
And you talk about a defense doing its job. Wesley Sutton today has been amazing. I mean, you talk about the fumble. I mean, that's just good coaching right there. Strips the ball near the goal line, and then the INT to get later on.
Right.
They're doing everything that they can. He definitely has the right to look at the offense and say, hey, guys, let's make some points. Let's get some points right now. But they're absolutely keeping this team in the game. And you got to think about the fact that if this is a low-scoring game in the second half, this is advantage Montreal.
Without a doubt.
But if there's more touchdowns being scored, you got to think that it's going to be probably Hamilton Tiger Cats going away.
All right, so obviously we're gearing up for a good finish in this one. We've still got 2 more on deck today, including the Battle of Alberta. Nick Anderson will be joining us on set right after this.
Welcome to a cold, wet afternoon in Montreal. It almost feels like playoff weather, but today it's all about getting back into the win column. Leads it upfield, and it's intercepted. It's Lorenzo Burns down the left sideline, tries to find the first down marker, but the ball pops out, and it's Hamilton possession. Crosses the 55 and cuts back once again. Tim White refuses to go down.
Well, we have to wrap up the game in Montreal first, but coming up after that, it is once again the Banjo Bowl. By the way, the Rough Riders haven't won this game since 2018. It was a thriller in the Labor Day Classic. The sellout streak continues at Princess Auto Stadium, set for another fantastic matchup between the rivals of the Saskatchewan Rough Riders and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And as mentioned before the break, we are thrilled to welcome on to set Nick Anderson. Nick, by the way, you dressed to impress.
Linebackers.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Oh, come on, Enoch. not.
Hey, he got his hair done.
I can't tell you our level of like you are just impressing us so much right now.
I watch a lot of CFL games. I'm able to see the halftime shows. So to see you all, present yourselves at a high level, I had to come.
I like it.
Man,
I like it.
Sir, you are welcome back anytime.
Yes.
We were speaking before we went on air here. This is the last game of you being on the 6-game injured list. First of all, how are you doing from a health perspective, and how excited are you to get back on the field with your team?
I'm doing well, man. I want to give a shout out to the training staff. They've been doing a great job of, keeping me on track to getting back on a reasonable amount of time. And it's been hard to just not play because I'm a guy that, I love football. I love to be out there, with my teammates. But they've been doing well since in my absence. We've been able to win 3 games straight. Had the loss last week, but we're looking to bounce back today. I'm just excited to get out there and root for those guys and be back with them.
Nick, talk to me about, the tremendous season that you had last year with the award at the end of the season as well, and the difference that it was from last year to this year. Obviously, you're still trying to improve. You're only year 2.
Right.
But talk to me about what this year's been like and the challenges that you kind of experienced early on.
Just overall, we're in the business of what have you done lately. I try not to live in the past of what I did last year. Overall, I feel like I started the season hot. Unfortunately, got injured, but looking to come back and continue what I left off.
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate your professionalism. Unfortunately, there are a lot of individuals your age, you're 25, between 18 and 30, who just aren't professional. But I surely appreciate yours. It's going to go a long way when your football career is over in 15 years, whatever you do in life. But first of all, congratulations, last year, Rookie of the Year. And coming into this year, I know you were expecting some big things out of yourself. Unfortunately, you got hurt, but also out of this team. And I'm not asking you to throw anybody to the bus, any position, any player, but what do you think is the biggest concern with getting this team back on track right now?
Just overall, looking at consistency. We came out, everything was new this year, and then everything being new and you only having a limited amount of time during training camp to bind everything together, just overall getting that consistency, and you saw that in the 3 wins that we had back to back to back. And overall, just going to, find our roots as a team, find our identity. And I just feel like the coaches have done a great job of, keeping us on the same track, having great guys with great character in the locker room, and it's just waiting to happen, man.
We look at a team like the Calgary Stampeders, and obviously that did snap the 3-game winning streak for the Elks. But just what they've done this season and that continuity on defense, and they've got some of the veteran guys, some of the younger guys as well. That's obviously a place where Edmonton would like to be. Facing this team going into this game, what would you like to see from your teammates?
Just overall, I would like to see them get after the quarterback. Vernon Adams is very talented. Last year when I played against him, I thought he was one of the best in the league. And he is what that team centers around. He's their leader. He's their vocal point. So I feel like, as long as we can get out and kind of fluster him early, the rest of the game will be great. And shout out to Cody Fajardo, a guy that, came in, earned his stripes, a guy that, stepped up, is a leader in this league, is a leader for our organization, and he's doing well. I'm just happy that he's on my team. He was a great quarterback to play against last year. And I just feel like everything is coming. Everything is on the other side of the horizon, and I'm looking forward to it.
Nick, we really appreciate you stopping by set. And once again, just the professionalism from this young man. Cannot wait to watch you for years to come. Good luck the rest of the way this season. We'll be back to Montreal right after this.
Tonight was any indication in Ottawa. Plenty of twists and turns to come in our first of the triple header here on Super Saturday. James Letcher Jr. stands back. And the ball on the tee for Mark Leggio. Rain expected to stop falling sometime around 4 p.m. But it will hang around just like this kick hangs up in the air. And a late call from Letcher Jr. to go and get it. And now he turns the corner, Destin Talbert. Seems like he's had every saving tackle for the Hamilton Tiger Cats on defense and special teams so far here today. As James Morgan comes out, we get a look at his first half of action. Just 3 completions, 22 yards. Difficult conditions, yes, and some different play calling because of the weather, but as the panel was saying at halftime, gotta find a way.
Yeah, gotta find a way to get things going. And, it's an interesting situation when you look at the quarterback dynamics with the Alouettes right now. We'll talk a little bit more in a minute. But James Morgan, the guy who's been here a couple of years, so the guy who is most familiar with the system. It's not like you have an experienced, established veteran amongst the backups. But ironically, James Morgan has the fewest starts of the 3 Alouette quarterbacks dressed today, as Shea Patterson and Cameron Dukes have both had some extended fill-in duty that James Morgan is finding here right now. So I don't know if the Alouettes would look to go in a different direction at all.
Morgan stands in against the 3-man rush, and I'm not sure if his arm was hit at the end of the play there, but the ball came out a little bit strange and falls incomplete. So a quick 2-and-out here for the Montreal Alouettes offense.
Yeah, pressure from that Hamilton defensive line. Julian Hauser once again getting there to impact the throw.
Again, not a lot of sacks on the season for Hauser, but the quarterback pressures just being annoying, always being around the quarterback, regardless of the matchup. Like 2 or 3 times already, he has been close. And that time changes things over for James Morgan on his release as the return comes here for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Bo Levi Mitchell into the end zone using his feet.
Well, you know, you throw 24 touchdown passes through Labor Day, maybe it gets a little boring. Bo looking for a little bit of variety. He decides, you know, I like to get myself a rushing touchdown once a decade.
Well, the confusing part about this is the last time he had a rushing touchdown, August 15, 2015. Calgary against Ottawa, he had 2, and I inquired with our Sultan of Stats, Johnny Russin.
Yes, sir.
Were they quarterback snakes or were they true runs? Nope, they were real running touchdowns back a decade ago. So, you know, just took a decade break from the running life.
Yeah, you got to let the legs recover, you know.
Get in the ice tub for 10 years.
That's it.
And then get back to work.
Yeah. The element of surprise. Bo has that rushing touchdown 10 years in the making as he was setting that up.
But 13 of 17, 143 yards, has the 1 interception that went to Lorenzo Burns. And Keandre Smith back into the ballgame there. You see 85. He was being reevaluated at halftime for an upper body injury, and standing right there, ready to go to work as Mitchell talking things over with Kenny Lawler as an injured Montreal Alouette is down right now. Looks like Najee Murray is down and getting some attention from the training staff. So we'll step away and return to Montreal in just a moment. Najee Murray getting looked at down the tunnel as he's up onto his feet. And the Hamilton Tiger Cats ready to go back to action with a 13-9 advantage right now. So Giovanni Robinson standing there in the huddle. The big body playing tight end, 6'8", 252. Gives a little bit of a different look, and maybe with Najee Murray out, just a little bit of personnel matching here. A bit of a bigger front as well for the Montreal Alouettes. They stack the line of scrimmage on 2nd down and 3. Mitchell hands it off. Greg Bell turns the corner, gets a block. Robinson out in front, and Bell stumbles as he tries to make the cut back towards the middle of the field. But that is an impressive effort from the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And Greg Bell, his 2nd career 100-yard game.
Yeah, interesting to see. You talk a little bit about the personnel, the matchups, and so on. Nice block on the edge by Ante Litre on Tyrese Beverette, but Montreal comes out with 5 true defensive linemen to start. We know Hamilton ran the ball well in the first half. Montreal loads it up. Hamilton kind of beats them with speed, taking that inside run outside.
Last time these two teams will play in the regular season, as this one over the middle, Kenny Lawler, it's incomplete. Lorenzo Burns, man, the interception he had earlier on was a bit of a gift, but in terms of true coverage, he has been all over Hamilton receivers for the rest of the ball game.
Yeah, I go back to the first play in the game. Remember, Lorenzo Burns was taken out. Like an injury spotter situation or an equipment issue, he had to leave the game. So he wasn't there in the boundary corner on the first long ball to Kenny Lawler. But he has been ever present in this game ever since.
Mitchell with some pressure coming to his left. Looks over the middle, checks it down. Tim White tries to cut back against the grain. And on 2nd and 10, they'll come up a yard, maybe 2 shy. Ball spotted at the 40-yard line right now. And Mark Leggio headed off the Tiger Cats sideline.
Ticats having some success in this ball game, moving the football. But not as much to show for it as you might anticipate. A Bo Levi Mitchell touchdown, the only major so far.
Leggio has the distance, knocks it through, and his tremendous season begins. And Ken Dryden honored earlier today as passing away. The Canadiens legend honored by the Alouettes faithful here in Quebec. 24-year-old out of Pratt, Kansas, Travis Tice, jump cutting around, finding a way, and part of that dynamic duo was Sean Thomas-Erlington in the first half.
Well, Montreal Alouettes came out certainly looking to try and establish that run game, not having quite the same level of success as Hamilton did in that regard in the opening 30 minutes. But again, James Morgan making just his second career CFL start. Tyson, Thomas-Erlington looking to help relieve the pressure a little bit.
Empty things out here for Morgan. He gets it out to Tyson Philpott. And Tyson frustrated being out of the lineup, the hamstring injury, and back in today. Had an extensive warm-up to get himself ready and have some confidence, but said he was actually annoyed watching Keandre Smith on the other side for the Hamilton Tiger Cats last weekend because I like watching Canadian guys go off, but chill. I'm falling way behind in the receiving yardage.
Yeah, trying to get back in that yardage race. Twin brother Jalen, of course, also enjoying a terrific year in Calgary.
Many great pass catchers around the country as now Morgan loads this one up, wants to use the big arm and into double coverage. He was looking for Austin Mack, but coverage supplied Destin Talbert right there alongside. I believe that's Jonathan Moxey once again in coverage. Or is it Deshaun Amos?
Looking to try and make something happen. Taking that shot, you'll see the sort of middle receiver there, Austin Mack. Makes his break going to the post. Deep ball, Talbert doing a nice job falling off as the two halfbacks converge to make a play on the football down the middle of the field.
Heck of a play by Talbert coming all the way over from that boundary halfback spot. Make the catch that much more difficult for Austin Mack in his return to the lineup out the last 4 games with an ankle injury. That's Joseph Zima. Big strong leg, hammers this one, rolls down to the 11-yard line of the Tiger Cats. A 57-yard punt. A man that started the season with a plethora of special teams tackles. Alexander Gagne adds another to his season.
You look like I'm done looking, but girl, the hard truth is a bitch. Now don't turn into two. You look like I'm gonna wind up missing you.
Mitchell with 1st and 10 from his own 21-yard line after the Brooks return. Begins with a handoff. Why not? Go back to Greg Bell. Trying to win first down. Oldthorpe has long prided his defense on their ability to force the opposition into 2nd and long, but so much success today on the all-important first down for the Tiger Cats running attack.
And we talked a little bit about various personnel packages. It's been kind of fun to watch these two teams. We kind of see it with Montreal all the time. Hamilton offensively, a lot of different packages as well that have maybe confused the Alouettes at times.
Mitchell looks to his left. Checks it down. Greg Bell gets stacked up and turned around. Big time open field tackle. That time Jeffrey Canton-Arcou, and once again Lorenzo Burns right there. And whether it's the pads popping on that play or the wet weather or the fact they haven't played for a significant chunk of the season 10 weeks ago, or the fact they won't play again until the playoffs, this is starting to feel like a playoff game.
Yeah, definitely has that sense of urgency for both of these teams. Tiger Cats' last win back on August 2nd. The Alouettes did not win at all in the month of August.
All-important interdivisional game. As plunging forward is Jake Dolegala and Scott Milenovich ready to get the next call in. Thought it was interesting after the Labor Day Classic, Saskatchewan-Winnipeg last week. The two-point conversion goes back the other direction with Tavon Campbell. I asked Bo about the two-point conversion he attempted against the Argonauts last week. He said, yeah, Milenovich got in my ear and said, you saw the game last night, right? Into his headset, in the game, in the middle of the Labor Day Classic. He said, this ball cannot be in harm's way. So plenty of open-eared communication going on from the sideline to the Tiger Cats veteran quarterback and leader. Mitchell drifts to his right, comes back left, lofts this one to the big man, Robinson. And rare that you see somebody with a catch radius that it might be longer than Marc-Antoine Duquois, but Robinson has just that.
Just off the hands. Big Giovanni Robinson, the alley-oop along the sidelines goes incomplete.
Equipment staff being put to the test here in Montreal today as well. A couple of buckles popping off in the wet weather and big contact as Mitchell now floats this one with pressure coming his direction to Greg Bell, and I think Bo wanted Bell to snap his head around a little bit quicker on that one. Incomplete.
Not quite. Veteran quarterback immediately pulling Bell over. Give him a quick little bit of coaching and a pat on the back.
You can see him playing the numbers game as well, going, hey, there's two coming over here, there's one there. Do the numbers with me, because I see it. I need you to see the same thing. Little tap on the backside, positive encouragement for his running back, but regardless, 3rd and 10. As we're halfway through the third quarter of action here in week 14. Punt sent away by Nick Constantino. This one end up punt that drops down to James Letcher Jr. Tries to get the corner. A stiff arm there. And Trevor Hoyt, who fights his way back into the play. And Owen Hubert, the last man to send him away, is... Yeah, the fans are out. Conditions be damned. Montreal Alouettes have been up against it when it comes to health at the quarterback position so far this year. As you see the updated numbers from James Morgan here today, just 24 yards thus far. And Tyler Sneed even on that graphic as Davis Alexander leads the group ahead of McLeod Bethel-Thompson. And Davis active on the sideline. You get the sense he's really close to coming back. Great workout on the field before the game, showing off the strong arm, but plenty of handoffs right now because they're struggling to get the passing game going with James Morgan, despite the fact that Anthony Calvillo and Jason Moss have total confidence in his ability to send the ball down the field and get vertical.
Yeah, and a situation where James Morgan wouldn't have stuck around this team. They would not have kept him with this team for the last couple of years if they didn't see potential and an opportunity for him to grow. This is sooner, ideally, than they would have liked for him to play. Remember, Davis Alexander had a couple of years to grow in the system as well before he got thrown in.
Absolutely, as Morgan rips this one. Rambo gets it off the turf, but a missed block. And the Tiger Cats, Miles Fox, had a knockdown earlier on and flies out from his defensive line position here to make the tackle.
Oh, Miles Fox stepping up today in the interior of that Ticats defensive line in the absence of Casey Sales here today, their most experienced D tackle.
Now up to 26 yards on the day after a gain of 2 on that screen pass for James Morgan. So just no yardage to be spoken of when it comes to throwing the football for the Alouettes here at home, which not something we've been able to say very often over the last couple of years. Cody Fajardo fairly effective. Davis Alexander in relief. McLeod Bethel-Thompson, as you saw, could put up yardage and move the football in a hurry. Tim White, after a 40-yard punt, just get the yardage that he can to try and get a little bit of breathing room for Bo Levi Mitchell and the Tiger Cats attack here in Montreal. 24 catches on the season coming in, but just 5 games played this season for Tyson Philpott. Back in the lineup today, and Kenzie Lalonde has more. Yeah, when Tyson was rehabbing his hamstring injury, he leaned on his brother Jalen, who of course suffered a more serious hamstring injury back in 2023 that required surgery. So Tyson's big takeaway from his brother Jalen, the importance of warming up. He remembers back in the offseason leading into the 2024 season, the two would train, and Jalen would spend upwards of an hour and a half warming up. And at that point, Tyson was almost done his workout, but that was a big takeaway for him in perspective while he recovered from his own hamstring injury this season. Even when the defense has been on the field during this game, guys, Tyson's been on the bike, staying warm, looking to get ready and active for the rest of the game.
Takes me an hour and a half to get loose too.
I've worked out with you. I've seen that 90-minute routine, but it is pretty amazing because their bodies are so similar, being twin brothers. And having a hamstring injury for Jalen, the first thing that Tyson said he essentially did when he realized that was the injury was call his brother and just go, hey, I'm not calling to tell you what my injury is. I'm calling to figure out how to fix this thing, right? Yeah. Because it's like, you did it successfully. You're having a nice year. How do I get back? Levi Mitchell makes the end around. A pitch to Greg Bell. Gets the edge. Mustafa Johnson right there. Should he stay on his feet, but just got the shoelaces of number 5. Brought him down to the turf, but not until another Tiger Cats first down with the ground attack.
And basically, again, just using speed to attack the Montreal Alouettes on the perimeter here in the second half. Beat them more with the inside game through the opening 2 quarters. This chess match continues.
Go back to Bell here. Darnell Sankey bringing him down, and it's something we really haven't seen all that much, not just from the Hamilton Tiger Cats this year, Dwayne, but just Montreal defensively in general. Like, being the rain, sure, but being able to run directly into the teeth of this front for the Montreal Alouettes, it's a rare sight.
Yeah, it's been an impressive first 3 quarters for the Hamilton Tiger Cats here in that regard.
Bell with 141 yards, a career high as he watches from the sideline here. A crossing route. DeAndre Smith, after his monster Labor Day Classic performance on Monday, catches the crossing route and moves the chains once again.
And you'll see DeAndre Smith coming from the slot towards the top of your screen. Giovanni Robinson, the tight end, goes vertical, clears that out. Smith coming underneath. It's a nice high percentage play. The Ticats.
Extra big bodies in once again. Giovanni Robinson and Jack Zot. As they show that run-heavy package and they give it. Johnny Augustine gets a look after Greg Bell standing on the sideline, and Bell will put his helmet back on should he be called upon, but they'll sub out the big package here, and Brendan O'Leary Orange and Shamar Bridges come back onto the turf.
And Greg Bell, who's had a busy afternoon, just getting a little bit of a break here. Keep those legs fresh for the 4th quarter. Ticats with a very capable sub in the ball game, the veteran Johnny Augustine from the University of Guelph Griffins.
Send Kenny Lawler in motion to join Tim White, the bottom of your screen. Mitchell looks to Augustine, makes the grab. On second down, they convert, leaking Augustine out into the flats. And Hamilton is now in Montreal territory.
Yeah, Augustine, you see him in the backfield, just to the left of the quarterback. Free release to the flat for him. Quick read for Bo. He's got coverage outflanked.
Augustine goes back to the sideline. A couple of high fives as Scott Milanovich looks like he's got the offense into a rhythm right now. Greg Bell in the backfield on a career-high day here in week number 14 of the 2025 CFL season. They'll add to it. Not much, though. 50-yard line. A gain of 3, 2nd and 7 coming up.
Hamilton Tiger Cats been effective here in mixing it up a little bit. Heavy dose of run, but a lot of different looks, whether it's changing up the personnel, changing the blocking scheme up front, as well as changing that point of attack.
5 of the 6 touches in this drive going to Hamilton running backs between Bell and Augustine. Whether it be in the air or on the ground, this time they'll go aerial for Kenny Lawler, falling backwards, and he only needed one. The flag comes out, and Lawler looks confused. Did they call offensive pass interference?
A lot of Montreal Alouettes seem to be talking to Kenny Lawler over there at the end of the play.
Offensive pass interference. Hamilton, number 89. We'll go back 10 yards. We'll replay 2nd down. On a une passe interférence offensive contre Hamilton 89. On recule de diverge. On reprend le 2e essai.
We'll take a look at the end of this one. Yeah, you could see a grab there, a tug on the back of the jersey. Watch right hand of Lawler. Subtle at full speed. A little less subtle when slowed down. Watch the right hand of Lawler goes to the back of Ento here. And pulls him down.
Devil's advocate on this one.
Yes.
Your body.
Hamilton is challenging the ruling on the last play. The play will be reviewed. Hamilton demande la révision du dernier jeu.
Your momentum is already carrying you back towards. Your arms are swinging wildly. Is there a chance that your thumb and your gloves could just get hooked inside the armpit of the jersey?
Oh, Marshall.
I also don't believe that Michael Jordan pushed off in the 98 finals, in case anyone's wondering.
Yeah, and I guess my answer to your question would be, yes, there is a chance, but that's not what happened.
Okay.
I mean, listen, level of difficulty to use one hand to pull the defender out of the way and the other hand to catch the ball, full marks for that. But I think they got the call right here.
A look of bewilderment on Kenny Lawler as he was sitting on the ground. Explained it all, but the referee, Ben Major, has the call from the CFL Replay Center.
Upon further review, the ruling on the field stands. Hamilton loses their challenge and their first team timeout. Suite à la révision du jeu, le jugement sur le terrain maintenu. Hamilton perd sa demande de reprise vidéo et perd un premier temps d'arrêt, pardon. Ça va être 2e essai.
Unbelievable. Look at that shot from a photographer's camera on the sidelines. They got the shot. Bo Levi Mitchell took one, but it didn't pay off. Now 2nd and 16 after the penalty. Mitchell, plenty of time, goes underneath Brendan O'Leary. Orange, nice open field tackle after he had the pass interference go against him. Ento steps up in the open field and finishes off what looked like a promising Hamilton Tiger Cats drive. Hamilton still leading 16-9 as of now. The running attack in control for the black and gold as we head to the 4th and final quarter here to kick off Super Saturday in the CFL. 16-9, the Hamilton Tiger Cats up over the Montreal Alouettes. The final time that they will play here in the 2025 regular season. The front end of a CFL on TSN triple header for you is, of course, the Banjo Bowl and, of course, the Labor Day rematch between Calgary and Edmonton. It's been a long time since Hamilton's been able to close one out here. Bo Levi Mitchell, not a huge fan of playing here. Calgary, Orange time early in Hamilton. So now you get an opportunity to finish this out. It feels like he's going to lean on his backs the way he has all day.
Well, it would just make sense if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The running game has been terrific for the Hamilton Tiger Cats throughout this football game, and you know, the way they have even added some wrinkles to it here in the second half of the game to allow that continued success has really stood out. And meanwhile, eat up the clock, right? I mean, Montreal has 26 passing yards in this football game. The Alouettes don't seem to be in a position to get the ball down the field quickly. So the more time you can take off the clock, it becomes that much more advantageous for the black and gold.
Greg Bell in the running game will have to wait. As Constantino knocks James Fletcher Jr. deep back inside his own end. And again, it's one of those little plays that doesn't seem all that significant, but the difference for your quarterback between inside your 5, especially when you're struggling for passing yardage, and being all the way out past the 15 is massive. As the next 2 games coming up for you, A.J. Ouellette, Trevor Harris, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders will go up against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Brady Oliveira not getting a lot of love last week, trying to figure that out in the Banjo Bowl, and then Calgary against Edmonton as Cody Fajardo and the Elks try to bounce back from what was a difficult performance. You were there, you saw it in person, you were calling that one.
I sure was, yeah. The Calgary Stampeders continuing their winning ways, as they have to try and keep pace with the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
A couple of great matchups for you here on Saturday as James Morgan looks down the field, and 26 passing yards on the day, and nearly doubles it on a single throw.
Yeah, nice chunk there. Finding Austin Mack. Gets down low to pick up this ball.
This one goes for a gain of 21. As Morgan rips it over the top of coverage. And they need a little bit of life. The Montreal offense, if they start to believe here in the fourth quarter, they fake the inside run, then give the pitch to Travis Tice. And his 2-man miss, then a third. And is tackled at the 45-yard line, a gain of 7.
This is the thing, Marshall. You look at this football game, and it feels very much like, because of time of possession, etc., that Hamilton was in full control of this game. It's a one-score football game with a whole quarter to go. And the Montreal Alouettes get a couple of plays, and things could turn in a hurry.
Anthony Calvillo telling me this week that each year is totally different. He said 2 years ago we were 6 and 7 or something like that. We found a way. In 2023, last year dominant and couldn't get the job done. This year, we're just trying to figure out what their identity is with so many of the quarterback injuries, as Hamilton's defense flies up and makes a big play on 2nd and medium.
Yeah, Alouettes trying to get the conversion using their ground game. The Hamilton defensive line sniffs this one out against their former cat, Sean Thomas Erlington.
Mario Kendricks watching on here as Tiger Cats will get possession back and try to grind a little bit of clock. Phillip Brooks ready to return. The lone returner standing back. Hamilton sent some pressure, couldn't get close. Brooks catches it at his own 24-yard line. And a 41-yard punt is answered with a 9-10-yard return. Bo Levi and Mitchell trying to close it down here in the fourth quarter in Montreal. Hamilton Tiger Cats sitting at 6-5 on the year, and 30-plus points in 6 games this year. 23-plus in all but one. That was the game they laid a bit of an egg against Saskatchewan. But coming up next week, a big game for the organization, Dwayne.
Yeah, very meaningful. They've got the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in town. A game that they are dedicating to their general manager, Ted Gervais. Team Ted.
League-wide support has been outstanding. And will continue at Hamilton Stadium next week as Bo Levi Mitchell on the delay blitz by Tyrese Beverett. It's best on best. Bo Levi Mitchell telling me last year he thinks Beverett is the best player, perhaps the entire CFL, any position.
And Beverett moving around behind that upright. Going to pick his gap on the blitz. Fullback crosses, and there he goes. Untouched, just delays it. Doesn't get accounted for in that blocking scheme. Bo just getting down to protect himself.
How fast Tyrese Everett recognizes they was free and then fires. No chance for Mitchell. Leads to 2nd and 16 underneath. Tim White tackled in the open field by Lorenzo Burns, and immediately Hamilton's offense goes backwards, and the Alouettes, trailing by a score, will get the football back inside 11 minutes remaining in the 4th.
Yeah, you get into those 2nd and longs. See it all the time in the Canadian Football League. Defense is just going to sit off. They'll let you have that completion as long as it's in front of them. Burns doing exactly as he should, coming up and securing that tackle in front of the sticks.
Burns with the interception earlier on in this ball game, 2nd of the season. Great X's and O's matchup here in Montreal this afternoon. Magic personnel and schemes, and now just a monster boot all the way back to the 10-yard line. Nick Constantino, his flags out well behind the play as well, as the Tiger Cats were running down to try and track down a 62-yard punt from Constantino. The U.S. Open continues today with the women's final at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific. You can catch all the action on TSN. Sabalenka against Anisimova coming up after this one, as well as the 2 games to follow us in the Canadian Football League. As the holding call goes against the Montreal Alouettes, and the first penalty Montreal has taken all day long.
Proves to be a costly one in terms of field position. Long field is not what this team needs, given the challenges they've had picking up chunk yardage here.
And Cameron Dukes is in the ball game. He slipped him into the huddle there, coming off the sideline. So the former Toronto Argonauts see if they can generate a little bit of instant offense with a different arm and a different voice in the huddle, and right away it'll be a gain of 9 yards for Tyson Philpott, flying to the flats as we get a look at his 2024 with the Toronto Argonauts.
Yeah, Cameron Dukes, 9 starts with Toronto last year, 11 in his career. You see the numbers, high completion percentage for him. It would kind of help keep that team afloat last season, while Chad Kelly served a suspension the first half of the year.
See the hesitation. Cam Dukes headed to the sideline there when he realized that the short yardage package was coming in as Travis Tice gets the little end around here. Stubblefield, the former Alouette, pushed off the pile at the end. But I distinctly remember doing a game here with you early last year when Cam Dukes was the starter, where he was one of the main emphasizing points in how Toronto was able to create some offense and beat the Alouettes. And you got to wonder if that was the kind of impetus to the Alouettes having a little bit of belief that he might fit in what they want to do.
Yeah, and, you know, Dukes been here for a few weeks now. He came in after the McLeod Bethel Thompson injury. So a little bit of time to learn the system, and, you know, as mentioned, Cameron Dukes in his 3rd Canadian Football League season. So, you know, that understanding certainly of defenses around the league. You know, for James Morgan, listen, lots of young quarterbacks have been there. There's a learning curve. It takes time. Morgan pressed into duty earlier than the Alouettes would have liked.
Comes up on the snap here as Travis Tice goes right down the pipe. Sean Amos comes downhill to try and help out, but for now, the Alouettes picking up the first down here on the ground, and
Montreal had no end.
It'll go backwards
on the right
formation.
Side. We'll go back 5 yards. We'll replay 2nd down. Procédure inadmissible. Montréal n'avait pas d'allié pour fermer la ligne de leur côté droit. Pénalité de Saint-Verge. On reprend le 2e essai.
We'll keep an eye here The right side of the line, you can see everybody's trying to get lined up, but outside the tackle, no one is on the line of scrimmage. You can see Philpott signaling out. I believe it was, Tyler Sneed out wide. Philpott was signaling to him, you got to get up on the line, but they just couldn't get it done before the ball was snapped.
Great 2nd and 11 for Cam Dukes. Pressure on, Julian Hauser bends the corner and throws down Dukes.
This is what happens when you find yourself in 2nd and long. There's Julian Hauser coming off the end. Dips that shoulder to get under Jamar McCloster. And Miles Fox combine to wrap up the quarterback.
Both being able to finish off the play, but dramatically different celebrations. Hauser, put my head down, go to the sideline. Fox loves to celebrate, loves the energy from the Tiger Cats defense, so that backs them up. The Alouettes, and Cam Dukes goes back to the sideline to look at things. No fault of his own that time from right tackle Jamar McCloster being unable to protect him. Is now Brooks with a flag out. It's pushed out of bounds at the Montreal 50-yard line. Julian Hauser, multi-sport athlete, super athletic, signs back in Hamilton after a trip to Calgary in free agency and makes the big play here in Montreal.
The hit HBO original docu-series is back with an unprecedented all-access look at one of the NFL's top teams. Hard Knocks training camp with the Buffalo Bills is now streaming only on Crave. Have you been watching, Mark?
Have I been watching?
Have you stopped watching?
I can't stop. I crave it.
I know you love you some Bills.
Just a short trip down the road. Levi Mitchell, pressure off from the wall. Uguak, and Kenny Lawler had to jump backwards. Try and make that grab. Stretched out those long arms of 89, but just couldn't hang on.
I get another look. Right here, ball just a little bit to the inside. As you see the reaction of Davis Alexander on the sidelines, there has been a lot of interaction between he and Kenny Lawler over the course of this ball game. Little chatter.
I don't think Davis is doing himself any favors in signing Kenny Lawler in future free agencies here today. As this on Lawler in between traffic, and it's dropped. And a little fuel to the fire for Davis Alexander. Trying to fire up the Montreal sideline here, trailing 16-9.
Yeah, this one in traffic, a few waving arms right in front of the ball. Just before it gets there, you saw the distraction of Tyrese Beverett, and Lawler just unable to pull it in. Davis Alexander all over it. Game day intensity, whether he's playing or not.
Well, coming into today, there's a lot of matchups that I could have predicted would be really intense. I didn't think Davis Alexander versus Kenny Lawler was going to be one of them we'd be talking about, but here we are in the fourth quarter with a 42-yard punt that drops down to James Letcher Jr. And with Alexander sidelined and still out, looks like James Morgan will come off the sideline. So did Cam Dukes get his one-and-done opportunity on the last drive. We continue to spin the roulette wheel here of Alouettes quarterbacks. James Morgan is back in the huddle right now. Cam Dukes got the last drive, and Jason Moss making the decision. He wants to go back to the man that started the ball game for him here. Maybe just took him out and gave him an opportunity to watch a drive from the sideline. Yeah,
it could be a case where there was something specific he wanted him to see in that moment. Could be situational in terms of field position, etc. That maybe he realized he was more comfortable with Morgan.
Oh, man, that one goes right off the chest of Tyson Philpott. It was a rocket coming out of the hand of Morgan on the money. A little bit of extra pace on that one. Maybe trying to prove he deserves to be in the football game, but Philpott couldn't hang on.
Yeah, Philpott's the receiver at the top of your screen. Just coming underneath. Clearly just misjudged that one as it ate him up a little bit.
You can see it caught Tyson right in the chin strap area. As now, Morgan hit as he throws into traffic. Jamal Peters picks it off. There's flags up, but Peters goes down the left sideline and steps out of bounds inside the 30. And more flags at the end of the play. Has all sorts of battles going on between these two East Division rivals, and the last time they'll see each other until the playoffs.
Morgan had a chance to see this one coming, trying to accelerate his release to get that ball out there, but takes a hit just as he releases it. Ball comes up short. Jamal Peters, 3 interceptions already on the season. Is this one going to stand as number 4?
There are 2 penalties on the play. Major foul roughing, crackback, Montreal, number 85. We got a second penalty for misconduct, 10-yard penalty, Montreal. We're going to go up 25 yards from the end of the play. It's going to be first down for Hamilton.
Massive swing play. I know we both saw it, but I believe it was Tyler Sneed that came flying down the line of scrimmage. And he catches the defensive end and had something to say about it as well in real time.
Yeah, watch for Sneed coming from off screen, right side of your screen.
Give me a hippo.
And just ear holes the defensive end, Osai. And again, here you'll see it, Sneed 85 coming into the picture. That outside in, blindside block.
And we saw a similar play last night with Khalil Pimpleton in the 4th quarter in Ottawa as well, just blocking back towards the outside in and blowing somebody down onto their feet into the pile. It gets real messy real fast. It can lead to injuries. So player safety, but adding on the misconduct penalty at the end of the play, the interception and the field position, and Bo Levi Mitchell is standing in the shotgun at the 2-yard line of the Alouettes. He hands it off to Greg Bell, lunges his way forward, and Hamilton extends their lead. Inside 5 minutes remaining here in the 4th.
Nice reward for Greg Bell, who's had a strong day here in the Hamilton Tiger Cat offense. He in that running game, a big part of the story. We talk about Hamilton's aerial attack all the time. Mitchell to Lawler, Smith, White, and company. But Greg Bell carrying the mail today.
As you say, great reward for Greg Bell. He deserves it after the work he's put in, but also a morale boost for the Tiger Cats offensive line. They've struggled to run the football consistently throughout this year. There was no chance you were going to give that one to Bo and have him, throw a fade route to the back of the end zone for Kenny Lawler or something. It's based on the way that today has gone. 23-9. We get another look at the interception by Jamal Peters off of James Morgan.
Yeah, Morgan just trying to make something happen, trying to get his team back in this football game. Knows the hit's coming, makes that throw just as he takes a shot. Jamal Peters with his 4th interception of 2025, and Greg Bell punches in the touchdown run.
Yeah, Greg, go, man. Let's go.
3rd rushing touchdown of the year for Mr. Bell.
Montreal playing their first East Divisional game since July 17th after a run of 5 straight against the West. That was 50 days ago that they last played against an East Division team. And with 4:21 remaining, still plenty of opportunity to change the result in this one, but Hamilton eyeing their first victory in Montreal in the regular season over the last 1,471 days. It's been a long time. Alouettes have had a big stretch of success here at home especially in 2024 against pretty much everybody, but now going backwards once again. Special teams coverage down the field. Malik Hall making his CFL debut, the defensive lineman, in helping to wrap up Fletcher Jr. on the return.
And Malik Hall has been a nice addition to the Ticats special teams unit. I've noticed him a couple times today between coverage and blocks in the return game.
Love that. Brian Cole II, the first to get there. And who brings Malik Hall and Brian Cole II together? Tyler Turnowski. Get over here. Celebrate this thing. Not much celebration for the passing attack of the Alouettes here today. Tyson Philpott and Austin Mack's return as Tyson catches this one and knifes out to the 29-yard line. Gain of 9.
Alouettes. Got to feel at some point going to try and push that ball down the field a little bit, needing 2 scores.
Travis Tice rolls his way across the 35-yard line. As well, a gain of 7 and an Alouettes first down.
You see going with a little bit of a tempo offense.
Morgan digs in. Nice rhythm completion that time. First down. And Austin Mack makes the grab, moves the chains, and timeout Montreal before they hit the 3-minute warning.
Austin Mack getting some late game touches in here in his return to the lineup.
The 3:05, please.
The Montreal Alouettes, at what point will they open it up? Got the 3-minute warning, and then James Morgan told me one of his favorite things about the Canadian game, the variability of the final 3 minutes, the great equalizer. And now Hamilton forcing everything underneath. Asking defenders to rally and make the tackle as they do here on Tyler Snead. And we have officially hit the 3-minute warning as the Tiger Cats looking to advance to 7-5 on the season here on the road in Montreal. Scott Milanovic and the Hamilton Tiger Cats, difficult loss back on Labor Day Monday. And of course, you have the big week leading into the Labor Day Classic. And the second that game ends, your focus turns to the next game because it comes in short order. Bo Levi Mitchell telling me this week that the mood in the Tiger Cats locker room was almost somber for a day or two. Usually you can lick your wounds and make your way back. They didn't have that chance. Quick turnaround. They've done a good job here against the Montreal Alouettes as Reggie Stubblefield, the big thump, and turns back to his former sideline in Montreal.
Yeah, big hit. Stubblefield injured the first game last season, missing the rest of the year. Start of this year as he recovered from knee injury. The Tiger Cats recognizing the value of a healthy Reggie Stubblefield. Signed him in free agency.
And to the point of Bo Levi Mitchell saying quick turnaround, Brett Monson this week said we essentially took a week and we smashed it into one practice.
Yeah, very true. Monday to Saturday for the Cats.
Morgan gets another one out to Cole Speaker.
Interesting in this matchup, just talking about that time between games, is Montreal, of course, one of 3 teams that didn't play Labor Day weekend. So 2 weeks, 14 days rest for them since their last outing.
As Tamar McGloster rolls out of his stance.
But one of the questions I had coming into this football game for the Montreal Alouettes was, You know, we know their starting quarterback is still out, but would it be enough?
Procedure, Montreal number 61. 5-yard penalty will replay second down. Procédure, Montréal numéro 61. On recule le 5 verges. On reprend le deuxième essai.
Would it be enough, given all the players that they had coming back from injury, to provide support, provide help for the young quarterback, James Morgan, help this team overcome the absence of that man, Davis Alexander? I think they need Davis Alexander.
I would agree, as Morgan gave it his best for the last couple of games, but this one, looks like they'll signal incomplete. Oh no, do they actually say it's a catch? Yeah, they'll spot the football. And it'll be a first down, so a conversion on 2nd and long here for the Alouettes.
Well, keeping their hopes alive. They've taken over a minute off the clock so far on this possession.
Grab by Sneed. 10th play of the drive. Ball's out. Julian Hauser got his hand on it again, and it's still rolling around. And the big man, Fox, is all over it. Hamilton has possession.
Julian Hauser once again was the man supplying the pressure. And Miles Fox reaps the reward. I believe it was Mario Kendricks who, as Jamar McGloster went down to recover the ball, punched it free in diving for it. There were a couple of assists from the other defensive lineman for Fox, who comes up with the fumble recovery.
Julian Hauser feels like one of the more underrated players, perhaps, in the Canadian Football League, despite all of the statistical production he puts up. Rarely talks, just goes back to the sideline, sits. Not going to be on billboards all over town. But a heck of a player, and Hamilton extremely happy to have him back in their lineup as Hamilton takes a timeout. And a fumble recovery is the reward for Miles Fox chasing down the rock.
Yeah, all smiles from that Hamilton defensive line. That was
the updated standings. BC, at least the current standings, I should say, that the BC Lions sitting there when it comes to the crossover, the East Division. How it looks right now. Edmonton up against Calgary coming up as part of the doubleheader remaining after this football game is done in a couple of short minutes. And Greg Bell continues to add on to his day. And I think, aside from the idea of Davis Alexander being out of the lineup and hoping that they get him back and the difference that he can make for Montreal, the big story, maybe the main takeaway, certainly for Tiger Cats fans, will be, do they have a running game? I mean, they've got all these weapons. All we've talked about is Bo and chasing records, and could he have been the MOP last year? And you go for $150. It's a fair question against the Alouettes defense.
I was going to say that the numbers suggest yes.
A delay here, and Craig Bell trying to follow Kenny Lawler around the corner. Nice design that time from Hamilton to slow play it, and they get a first down. Big rushing conversion, but what else is new?
Yeah, as you just suggested, the story of the day has been Hamilton's ability to run the football. That'll give Bell 155 on the day.
We were joking about Bo Levi Mitchell with his rushing touchdown needing to hit the ice tub for 10 years. I think Bell might need the ice tub the second that they head down the tunnel here in a minute 20. Handed off, Johnny Augustine, extremely capable as well. Tracked down on the backside of the play, Darnell Sankey.
Ticats not quite able to get the edge on that.
We got a timeout, Montreal.
Banjo Bowl coming up. Saskatchewan against Winnipeg. It was an iconic Labor Day Classic Sunday night, and they get to do it down the road in Winnipeg this time around.
Always a great game. Couple big rivalry games remaining here. Obviously, Banjo Bowl next, the return match in the Battle of Alberta wraps up our triple header.
Interesting that we're talking about Hamilton finding a running game. Meanwhile, Winnipeg fans maybe wondering where theirs went last week in that game. Brady Oliveira not able to produce all that much. Saskatchewan able to win the Labor Day Classic last week. See if they can double down. The panel said the last time Saskatchewan won the Banjo Bowl was 2018, I believe off the top of my head. Yeah. So it has been a bit of an annual tradition, no matter how the Labor Day Classic goes, that Winnipeg has owned home turf on this day. But here today it is all Hamilton Tiger Cats 23-9. And the Montreal Alouettes averaging 14.8 points per game in their 4-game losing streak. That's about to go down in what will be a 5-game losing streak as Mark Leggio ready to extend the Tiger Cats' advantage. And the trend continues for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. 23 points or more in all but one game so far this season, and it was against those Saskatchewan Roughriders that will be playing in the Banjo Bowl coming up next.
Well, so much of the Hamilton Tiger Cats game this season has been, we got to outscore people. And they have that ability, and you know, I mean, Montreal's thing in terms of winning football games, particularly given the injury woes that they have battled at quarterback, relying on their defense. You know, we got to shut people down, and it's not like 26 is a ton of points when you look at the Hamilton Tiger Cats. They're a team that has averaged 30.3 points a game. So, I mean, the Alouettes have held them under that average, but scoring just 9 points themselves. The story here in the world of CFL football.
And a shake of the head from Austin Mack in his return. Some frustration as the Alouettes get set to go to 5-7 on the year. Their first 5-game losing streak for the Montreal franchise since 2018. Turns this out as we get another look at the Hamilton running game, and yeah.
During the return, holding Montreal number 34. It's a 10-yard penalty. It's going to be first down for Montreal. Pendant le retour retenu,
Montreal says it all, doesn't it? Right there.
Yeah.
We saw the numbers of Greg Bell. Remember, Tim White had a long run in the first half as well. Bo Levi Mitchell with was due for his once-a-decade touchdown scamper.
Hamilton averaging 72.3 rushing yards per game coming in. Not real good at numbers, but they double, triple. It's a lot. They found a way today, and there will be lots of film to watch for Nolthorpe and the defense. And again, keep in mind, strong message sent in terms of the running game here today. It makes you wonder if these two teams meet down the road, East semifinal, East final. This film will be just ripped apart for them to sort out the good, the bad, and the ugly. Travis Tice, stiff arm in the open field, puts the shoulder down.
Yeah, Marsh, as you talk about that playoff picture, reminder that this is the second and final game between these two teams, so a sweep of the season series for the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
It felt like when the game was in the balance that in a 9-team league, perhaps two teams in the same division that only played twice is why it was so intense.
Yeah.
Why it got started so early. Tice gets another touch here, but the tightening down of the East Division is officially on. For so many years, it's been almost an annual tradition. Last year, East had great success against the West. This year, it's reverted back the other direction, and East Division teams, for the most part, kind of splitting their matchups. 2 games to 1 or 1 game to 1. And in a spot now where there's no doubt the head-to-heads will feel like playoff games. And you know that Hamilton will want to get a victory against Toronto to settle that score from the Labor Day Classic on Monday. They'll play October 4th for the third and final time this season. And who knows, by that point, Toronto might be right there 1-2 with Hamilton in the division.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked coming into this week about how things have tightened down in the East. You know, and the Montreal Alouettes, no doubt, looking over their shoulders with the Ottawa Red Blacks and Toronto Argonauts both having won their most recent outings.
There's .2 on the clock officially here inside the stadium. And James Morgan will go back to the drawing board, try to sort out how to improve his game, work on some of the deficiencies as he gets one more completion to the outside, and Tyson Philpott takes his seat. And Dwayne, final thoughts on this one as Hamilton comes on the road, gets their 7th victory of the season, and finds a way to do it in a different manner than previously.
Yeah, the Hamilton team that was maybe worried about short rest, quick turnaround after Labor Day, I think the opportunity to come and put in an effort like they did today, get that taste out of their mouth and leave this week with a positive, convincing win over the Montreal Alouettes in a big divisional matchup goes a long way.
Well, fitting that Bo Levi Mitchell, first rushing touchdown in forever on a day where the Tiger Cats win in Montreal for the first time in over 1,400 days. Let's keep Super Saturday going. Send it back to the panel with Kate.
All right, thank you very much, Marshall. Alongside Enoch Mwamba, Milt Stiegel, and we've got ourselves some problems in Montreal. Not here in Edmonton, though. Let me tell you about the weather right now. This is so incredible. Obviously, Commonwealth, very quiet, but we're expecting a lot of Stampeder fans, who I saw, by the way, in the lobby this morning. So we know they're in town. They're getting excited for the Battle of Alberta, the rematch, and the Banjo Bowl also coming up, by the way. But as we look at these East standings right now, Hamilton, they snap their slide. Montreal falls to 5-7. They've now lost 5 straight games. And you got to love the fact that Toronto and then Ottawa with the win last night, they're right in it, both at 4-8. But when it comes to these Alouettes, as I said off the top, the biggest problem continues to be the quarterbacking situation. And look, we've had this debate numerous times. Back on July the 22nd, when we saw Davis Alexander go down, and then he got put on the 6th game, all of us said, did he go back in too early? Hamstrings are not things that we mess around with. I think all of us understand that. But when you look at what's happened with the injuries to Caleb Evans, to McLeod Bethel-Thompson, and then James Morgan could not perform, and then they put in Cameron Dukes, the fact that they can't score points on offense, Enoch, I mean, this is a little bit of a disastrous situation right now.
Absolutely disastrous, Kate. You talk about the fact that, you know, they gave themselves a nice little boost at the beginning of the season, got themselves some wins, but is that going to be enough for them to hold on to being in playoff position down the stretch of the season here? But they have to find ways to score points, and that's the bottom line. It doesn't matter who's at quarterback. They have to do it together. We came into this game super excited about the fact that Austin Mack is back, about the fact that Tyson Philpott is back on the offense. But guess what? These guys need somebody to get the balls in their hands as well. And so there's no quarterback right now on their roster that's capable of doing that. They have to figure it out because this defense is doing an amazing job. But when you lose like this, you kind of don't even realize that.
Milt Stiegel has never been wrong, but
oh my goodness,
I have to admit it.
That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever.
Hold on, Kevin. Hold on.
I can't even let him continue. I can't even let him continue.
Let him say it.
That's it.
I was wrong when I said they should have brought Davis Alexander.
Make sure that we play that back.
I'm sure David Sanchez loves to hear that right now. I'm sure he's gloating at home right now, but they were definitely wrong because right now they have no quarterback. I mean, I can step in and do what those quarterbacks have done in the last 5 games. They're averaging 14 points. I know I asked you earlier, Enoch, about how defense feels about this, but I've been in this position before. I guarantee you, when you get in that locker room, those defensive players
will be conversations.
No, it's going to be the side-eye like, you better get this together, bro. We out here doing our thing, and we can't get any help. They gave up, 156 yards rushing? That's not a Noel Thorpe defense. Those guys are tired.
They're exhausted.
I think it was like 15 more minutes Hamilton was on the field than Montreal. I don't care what type of players you have, what caliber of players you have. If you're on the field like that, you're going to give up some points. You're going to give up some yards. So offensively, I don't know where they go right now. I don't know where they go, but they have some problems. They're going to mess around and not be in the playoffs if they continue doing what they're doing.
Well, and I commend Davis Alexander for being as fiery as he was on the sideline for this one. He's clearly, is fully invested in his team. He wants to be back, but you're certainly not going to rush him back at this point after watching what happened the last time around. Meanwhile, for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, things are going in the right direction. Are we still in awe of what Bo Levi Mitchell did running a touchdown in?
Young Bo is back.
You know what's in Bo's locker right now?
What's that?
He's going to get drug tested right now. I mean, he's getting drug tested.
I don't think Kenzie's going to ask that question, but here she is standing by with Bo.
Well, Bo Levi, you are leaving Montreal with some good memories. A big win. Your team remains top of the East. What will you take away from this win here today?
I think just proud of the defense, the way they played. Right, special teams, holding one of the best returns in the game, and then offensively, just the work up front from the O-line, giving me time. Really, no pressure all day outside of the one sack. But Greg, Johnny, Ante, all running the ball. Tim running the ball. Just proud of the way the boys did. I think we had something. 230 rushing. Just proud of the way they played.
And you running the ball, a rare sighting to run it in. Talk me through that moment.
1,000 career rushing yards. Slowest quarterback in the history to 1,000 career rushing yards.
Lastly, you did talk about it, the ground game, how effective it was for your group here. Why was that the most efficient game plan?
Well, I mean, I think, Scott's one of the best. He understands the game, understands when the ball's wet, what to do. And, gave me shots early to put the ball down the field. You saw the one pick, right? The ball just come out terrible. And take the ones they give you, but sometimes you got to go out there, you got to win ugly, and we made that happen.
Enjoy the win.
All right, thank you, appreciate it.
By the way, I had to give a shout out to our Davis Sanchez, who isn't here, but he just said, "You're the real one, number 85. No ego. You keep it going." There you go. And that was good of you, Mill.
Yes.
First time in a long time you've admitted you were wrong.
Mill. First time ever. First time in a long time. First
time in your entire life.
Yeah, pretty much.
First for everything.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this running game when it comes to the Hamilton Tiger Cats. I don't know where this came from, but this makes this team very dangerous. When you're looking at a guy, and Bo just spoke about him, like Greg Bell, and you're able to run 156 on the ground. And I get that Montreal's defense was so tired, but this is an aspect of Hamilton that we had been looking for a long time. This adds a whole other element to this offense.
Absolutely. And you can tell Scott Milanovich made it an emphasis to get Greg Bell involved today. And he's tried to do it for a few weeks now, but today he put in different formation, different packages where you had an extra offensive lineman, extra fullback in the game so that Greg Bell can get the ball, and he did an amazing job. And you know about his speed, but tonight what I was today was impressed with was his patience and obviously his acceleration as well. He put it out on display today. You look at this Hamilton Tiger Cats team right now, they look like they're figuring it all out. We knew about Bo Levi and Kenny Lawler, but now for them to add this element to their offense, they are going to be difficult to beat down the stretch. You look at what you're expecting to do down the stretch. If you really want to be a Grey Cup winning team, or at least get yourself to the Grey Cup, you want to have a balanced offense. You want to have a defense that's also making plays, but this is one of the things that was missing for this offense for sure.
Opposing defensive coordinators are like, we got to deal with this.
How do we do it?
They got Kenny Lawler, they got Smith, they got Bridges, you got Bo Levi Mitchell. Now you're getting your running game involved. That's going to be difficult for the stop. And I know they had a 3-game skid, but if they can continue doing this right here, they can do some great things. We know they haven't been able to run the ball, but the last couple of games they've been getting Greg Bell involved, and he's been producing. So that's going to go a long way, as you mentioned, Enoch, and his team have an opportunity to win the Grey Cup.
Here is Kenzie standing by with Greg Bell.
Well, Greg, you leave Montreal here with a career high, 156 yards and a touchdown. What'd you like most about your game here today?
Just following my O-line, man. I got to give all the props to my O-line. They opened up holes, and I just ran through them and followed them.
We look at how efficient the ground game was, whether it was you running, Bo Levi Mitchell got himself a nice running touchdown. How did that work for your group?
It was great. We ran the ball hard and did what we had to do and got the victory.
Look at the defensive side of the game. Hauser came up big with some sacks. What stood out to you most about this defense today?
Hard-nosed football. Flying to the ball. They couldn't do nothing on offense, so hard-nosed football.
Lastly, back in the win column, still at top of the East. What will you take from this win moving forward?
Just keep our head down and keep working and keep getting wins.
Best of luck.
Thank you.